Keeper of the Lost Cities, Everblaze. Chapter 68. I don't understand, Sophie said, voicing the thought she was pretty sure they were all having. She sounded like Lord Cassius. And then she remembered. Keith's mom can mimic. You? Keith pointed to the sensing crest on his chest. But Dad was the one who gave this to me. And I'm the one who gave it to him. Honestly, Keith. She stomped her feet, shaking the snow off her heavy boots, even though they immediately sank back into the snowdrift. Do you know your father at all? He never set so much of a hair out of place, especially if it risked all those honors he's gotten from the council. But Dad's a jerk, Lady Giselle finished for him. Yes, he is. And your hating him has been hugely helpful to me. Every time I slip and let any emotion that might have given me away show through, I could just blame it on your latest mess. In fact, when I return home tonight, all he'll feel is a mother's distress over her son's tragic disappearance. You monster! Bianca shouted, accidentally revealing that she'd moved dangerously close to Lady Gisela. Lady Gisela grabbed Bianca's cloak and pressed her melder against Bianca's head. I wouldn't move if I were you. A blast this close will likely cause permanent damage. Go ahead, Bianca told her, her voice surprisingly steady. You can drop the mock bravery, my dear. There are safer ways to impress my son. Just ask that one. Shut up, Keith screamed, as Lady Gisela tilted her head towards Sophie. Yes, you're right, his mom agreed. I'm cold, and the altitude remedy the ogres gave me is triggering a headache. She pointed her melder at Keith again. This is your last chance to spare your friends unnecessary pain. Throw down your weapons and come with me. In case you didn't notice, there's 4 of us and only 1 of you, Keith reminded her. That's my Keith, always missing the obvious. She covered her face with her hood and stomped her foot again, and when the ground rumbled, Sophie realized what she was doing. She's calling her dwarves, she shouted, but she was too late. A dozen furry bodies launched out of the snow and surrounded them. Any ideas? Fitz asked, backing up as the dwarves circled closer. I'm thinking. Sophie wasn't sure if she could inflict without taking her friends down in the frenzy, and with the ice clawing up her poorly dressed legs and feet, she didn't think she could concentrate hard enough to affect such a large group anyway. I'll give you until the count of 3 to throw down your weapons and lie in the snow, Lady Gisela called. Never, Keith shouted. Guys, leap out of here. Not without you, Sophie shouted back. 1, Lady Gisela counted. And you'll never create a strong enough beam of light in this storm. Sophie glanced at the flurries around them, hating that Keith's mom was right, especially when she counted 2, 3, Mr. Forkle shouted, belly flopping onto 4 of the dwarves closest to Fitz and Sophie, crashing them with his massive girth. A handful of the Black Swan's dwarves popped out of the ground and dove into the fray, and Lady Gisela dropped Bianca and turned to run away. But Keith tackled her, sending them toppling through the wall of wind and vanishing into the white nothingness. Fitz, Sophie, and Bianca chased after them, or tried to anyway. The snow was waist deep, and they were climbing uphill again, so it felt like they were dragging heavy chains. He's over there, Bianca shouted, pointing to a flash of black, before it was swallowed again by the blinding white. They picked up their pace, pushing their bodies so hard they could barely breathe, but by the time they reached them, it was still too late. Keith lay face down in the snow, pinned under his mom's foot, with a melder pointed at his head. Sophie could barely scream, "Let him go!" when Bianca pounced, slamming into Lady Gisela and sending them tumbling down the incline. Keith scrambled to his feet and chased after them, joining Sophie and Fitz on the way down. Did you know Bianca could fight like that? Sophie asked, as Keith's mom tried to stop their tumbling, and Bianca shoved her shoulder and sent them both toppling again. Actually, yeah, Keith admitted. She's thrown me down a hill during several base quests. Me too, Fitz agreed. Sophie smiled, trying to picture them, but it quickly faded when she realized how close Bianca was getting to the edge. Bianca, stop! Sophie, Fitz, and Keith all shouted, but Bianca either couldn't slow or didn't hear them. They were seconds away from dropping off the edge, when Lady Gisela grabbed Bianca's arms and swung them both into a drift of snow so deep it seemed to swallow them. It's over, Mom, Keith called, as she struggled to her feet. He pointed his melder at her heart, and she raised a foot to stomp for her dwarves. I will drop you with this if I have to. She shook the snow out of her hair and stomped her boot anyways. No dwarves jumped out and attacked them. Oh, well, I guess they're busy, Lady Gisela said, glancing at the cliff behind her. There's nowhere to go, Mom. Just give up and come with me. He raised the melder at her head. I don't want to use this, but I will. I know. She smiled at him, but it was a sad smile, a broken smile. I'm not going back with you, she told him. You don't have a choice. Oh, there's always a choice. Her smile faded as she turned to look at the ledge again, and Sophie realized what she was thinking a second too late. She screamed almost as loud as Keith when Lady Gisela launched herself backwards, and they all watched in horror as she plummeted off the edge of the cliff.